One. And hi, guys, and welcome to Tuesday, and welcome to Fight Club. Hey there, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Doing great. Good morning.
Awesome.
Doing good. Good morning. Well, welcome to Fight Club for Business, the show for home service business owners looking to improve their marketing, finances, system, and culture. We're a team of self-employed industry experts, and we're joined this week by our guest, Tonya Burke. I'm super excited to have you on, Tonya. And can you just give the listeners just a brief rundown about yourself and your background and your businesses?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. I'm very excited about the upcoming event in Nashville. And so I've been pretty much a lifetimer of sales and marketing my entire career. And in a nutshell, my husband and I started an exterior cleaning business about 13, 14 years ago. We made that scary jump to kind of put all of our eggs in one basket, if you will. So my primary function in the beginning was to secure business, to go out and get commercial. We really wanted to ramp up in the commercial arena. So that's what I focused on. And then eventually, was very blessed, and that kind of morphed into learning how to run the back end, if you will, of the operation with the office and business end of things. We recently sold our business. It was spray wash exterior cleaning, and we sold to a larger national entity. So we're very excited about that. And so we're off on a new venture, and we are opening the first power wash store franchise in Florida. So really shifting gears and learning. So very much a different animal there, and just trying to learn the new processes. We're real excited. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I picked up on a couple of things that I definitely want to chat with you, and I'm sure the other ladies do want to chat with you about today. But for anyone who's just joining the first time, my name, is Taylor Maroney. I co-own a power washing company in South Florida with my husband called Pure Power Washing. My background also is in marketing, and I found a passion in that background for helping business owners understand the numbers behind their marketing and how to make better decisions based upon those numbers. So that way they're not kind of looking at numbers and not really knowing what it is and thinking it's Chinese. So that's my background. That's what I love to do. Super excited to say welcome back to Fight Club, everyone.
Awesome. And my name's Megan Likes. I'm the founder of Bookkeeping Academy Online, where I like to show people how to understand how much money they're making, how much money they're spending, and where they're spending it. I do that through a signature course where I teach people how to use QuickBooks Online in their home service business. I also own Likes Accounting Company, a full service accounting firm where you can outsource those nasty bookkeeping tasks to me and my team. And I am the co-owner of Jeff Likes Clean Windows and Gutters, a window cleaning and gutter cleaning company based out of Northern California. And I'm excited to be here on this Tuesday.
And good morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Myers, co-owner of Pink Collars, and I'm in California, and it is dark 30 out here. Hello. I don't know how
I almost said that, and then I was like, I'm going to let them be incognito. Martha is also in California, and I just want to point out that 7 a.m. is early to be on camera.
It is early. It absolutely is early. I co-own an admin services company where we place customer service reps or customer service rock stars or office managers in your home service business working remotely all over the country. And I am thrilled to have you on, Tonya, because I want to learn all about sales and how you managed to build something so large that you sold it and then pivoted to something new. So I'm excited to talk about that. And welcome to Fight Club.
Thank you. Love the group.
And lastly, my name is Martha Woodward, former owner of a maid service for, I think, 13 years. And I'm co-founder of Quality Driven Software. And everything I do is about helping people build happier workplaces. So welcome to Fight Club, Tonya. Thanks for being our guest and putting up with all our different locations. So anyway, welcome, and take it away.
Awesome. So I am really intrigued, Tonya, to talk about, we talk about marketing a lot on the show, and marketing is great. It's the fun, sexy thing that, as Megan always refers to it, when it comes to business. And with that comes responsibility. So with a fun, sexy marketing plan, you do have the responsibility of making those sales when they do come in. So I think that's a piece that a lot of business owners tend to kind of neglect and forget about. Because if you're running this awesome, sexy marketing plan, it's going fantastic, you're getting these leads coming in. They don't normally have, when I worked at marketing companies, they don't normally have a process set in place to make sure they're actually capturing those leads. So
Sure.
This episode, I really want to talk to you about that process, because they go hand in hand. In order for a marketing plan and budget and system to be successful, it has to have a good sales process as well, and they work hand in hand together. So what would be your number one recommendation for someone who just launched a marketing plan and maybe doesn't have a full sales process yet?
Well, it is a multi-stage, from I call it from cradle to grave, or, from the inception,
Love that.
So, so much of it, what I've always been very big on, over the years, I used to manage salespeople. I had a strong telemarketing background with AAA Auto Club. I don't know if you've heard of that, but,
Yes.
Really, just building that rapport, building that trust, it's so much more than just shooting out an estimate. Obviously, the estimate process is very important. It's a very important tool. However, just listening to the customer, I feel like, I've been contacted before by a salesperson, and to me, they're not really listening to me. They're just really wanting to talk about them and their product and how awesome and wonderful it is. And it probably is, granted. However, if I'm not listening to my client to know what their issues are, what issues they've had in the past, maybe with other vendors, what are their major concerns and issues, what is important to you, how can I help you make this a success for you and your business? How can I be accommodating? And then I would say the other thing that's very important is being very respectful of time. We're all business people, and we have a certain amount of time every day. And I'm very, very respectful, of that time. And I'll just give a real brief story on that. So this happened quite a few years ago. So we were ramping up and wanting to offer more benefits to our employees at the time. So we were really excited, and we were looking to launch a 401k and retirement program and this sort of thing. And that was definitely on my radar. And lo and behold, I got a call from a lady who was offering that type of service. And I was running out the door. I was very busy. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you called. I would love to talk to you. I'm very interested. However, right now I can't talk. I'm running out. I just don't have time. Can we get back together? The correct response would have been, oh, absolutely. And just hurry up and get off the phone and respect that. But instead, she was like, well, just give me a couple of minutes and let me just tell you a little bit. And I'm like, you don't understand, I don't have time. So I'm always very cautious of that, just to be very respectful of time and make sure that they're letting me into their world, so to speak. And I want to do that in a respectful manner. And then also talk to them and not just talk, but ask questions to truly listen to the response,
Oh, I love this. Okay.
Did you buy from her, Tonya?
No, I would not. I didn't speak to her again, actually, because, we were not on the same wavelength.
Right.
It's kind of like if someone calls in for an estimate, for instance, some folks are wanting to talk about it, to talk about the process. They want to know about my solution that I'm using. They want to know about my process. They're interested, and I'm going to share that with them. But I'm going to be very receptive of their stance in the conversation. And, if someone calls in and says, blah, 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 they're real fast. They're busy. They don't want to be kept up on the phone. Then I'm going to kind of mirror them, if you will. That's kind of an old sales term, but just kind of mirror the client and try to get on their wavelength, so to speak, so that you're communicating. if they're in a hurry and I'm so worried about giving my sales pitch, for lack of a better term, that's not going to be perceived well for them. They're not going to hear what I'm saying. They're not going to be receptive to it, so.
Absolutely. And I love how you talked about the feelings. We don't talk about the feelings enough, I feel like, when it comes to marketing and sales. But that is such an important piece. And we actually ran into this yesterday on a job, or I should say an estimate, excuse me. I, spoke to the gentleman on the phone. He was really discouraged. And I could tell that from the beginning. You could hear it in his voice. He was just kind of, something had happened that did not go well. Didn't know what at the moment. Then he immediately went into, well, I had someone come out today and they just told me they couldn't do the job. So once I heard that, it was I'm so sorry to hear that. What happened? Can you give me a little bit of detail as to why they said they could not do it? Well, it turned out that he had a really amazing custom hand painted driveway. And he was worried about the soft washing coming down off the roof and then hitting the painted driveway. Mm-hmm. The initial team that went out there from a different company said, yeah, no, we're just not doing it. Didn't take the time to really listen to him and come up and problem solve a solution. So when I sent my husband out to do the estimate, he spent probably about 20 minutes there with that client, figuring out a way that we can help solve his problem. Because at the end of the day, as service business owners, that's what we are doing. We are helping to solve a problem for these clients and make them, happier and living a happier, cleaner, healthier life in whichever service you may be working in. So that emotion and tapping into that emotion and making sure you understand their why as a customer is very important. And I think that's kind of what you're discussing, in a nutshell, is what is that customer's why? Why do they need us to come out? And how can we help and serve them to, find the solution to that why?
That's exactly right. I completely agree. If we don't know what it is, I met with a client. They've been a client for a while now, but we were talking and I was asking him, finding what his concerns, what his needs are, and he wasn't concerned with our process, our solution, all of that's wonderful. It's great. It's needed. It's very important. But they had actually had a slip and fall from some surfaces that had been left wet, and it was in cold weather, and we're in North Florida. So that can, turn into kind of like a sleet type surface very quickly. And so his main hot point was, I want to know what you're going to do, to take care of the work site, the job site, and to keep it safe, which we do all of that on a daily. We do cleanings at the hospital on a weekly basis and all types of public spaces. And so with that comes along the responsibility of making sure that you're taking care of those spaces and all the pedestrian traffic and that sort of thing. So, I really needed to get across to him, what we do, what our process is and how we handle that and our experience in doing so. And that was it for him, and that's what he needed to address with me. And that's why, if we're listening, that's the important part,
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Well, I'm going to wrap up real quick and just do a summary of what Tonya and I discussed. Basically, what we're discussing is find your customer's why. Make sure you understand where they're coming from. And please, for the love of God, do not talk about how much PSI your pressure washer runs, because no customer actually cares about that. I can speak on that from the pressure washing world. That's my world. That's what I live in. I don't have my husband talk about that. No client actually cares. They don't understand it. They need to know how you're fixing their problem. So I will kind of go ahead and pass you off to Megan, Tonya, after I get off my little soapbox here. And you guys can talk about money.
Money. All right.
Sorry, I'm the note taker and I got cut off. Don't post the client one. I don't know where that came from. I'm going to finish this thought though, which was clients don't care about features, right? They care about feelings.
Yeah.
I think that's what Paige just said.
They do. Yeah, absolutely. Don't care about how much PSI your pressure washer's pushing out. I hear it way too often.
Okay, now I'm done taking notes and I'm ready to focus. I think I want to just, can I not talk about money today, guys? Is that allowed? Can I just talk about feelings or something? I feel like okay, we're going to talk about, I don't care what they say. I want to talk about feelings. I hit this all the time where my customer service rock stars will say, I don't do sales, or I don't like sales, or yeah, that's not what I was hired for. I don't want to talk about sales. And I feel like as an owner, I have this hurdle where I have to coach them and say, everybody does sales. And we're selling ourselves all day, every day, right? And as the voice and the face and the smile of my company, you are my best salesperson. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are listening out there that might say, no, I have salespeople for that. And I'll say, that's great, but you still have somebody who's hopefully friendly, answering the phone, greeting that customer for the first time, being the first impression, interacting in the emails. And what I've struggled with, and I actually just lost a customer service rockstar of over 5 years. And I think it came down to the sticking point of, I hate sales. I don't want to do sales. That's not what I was hired for. Sales are icky. So can we talk a little bit about mindset and feelings around sales, especially when we're looking at it from this admin perspective? And I'm going to take a quick pause here for our quick commercial that Tonya is going to be joining us for the Rockstar admin training next month in Nashville. And that training is going to be brought to you from the 5 of us. And we're going to be talking about different areas about business, of how to elevate and bring up your admin in your company, bring systems back to your company, and really change the course of that customer experience because you've invested in your admin. So we're all hitting this admin perspective today because we're working together to put together this really awesome training for our CSRs. So can we talk about feelings, Tonya? Is that okay?
Let's do it. Yes.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So how do you overcome this hurdle when somebody says, I don't like sales, or I don't do sales?
I think sales can be such an intimidating thing, and especially, for instance, going out doing a cold call. I'm kind of a weirdo in that respect. I love it. It's like my adrenaline, it's kind of the challenge of it. But I get that, that's not for everyone, and it can be quite intimidating. I think that a big part of the solution is just slowing down. It's just about, again, listening to the client, being responsive, being professional. I never end a phone call without saying, I appreciate the opportunity to earn your business, just the opportunity to earn your business. And, if you have a person in the office that is not really digging the whole sales aspect, it's not, to me, it's just more about going through a process of gathering information while being very professional. And that's what folks want, just a lot of people that call in, they're just wanting responsiveness. They're wanting someone to return their phone call in a timely manner. They're wanting someone to listen to their needs and take that down. And depending on what process you're following, my husband Ray and I, we've worked together since the beginning, with our business, which has been a lot of feelings, with that, trying to learn how to work with your spouse. But I would joke with him and I would say, like, if it was a commercial project and I would gather the information, oftentimes the process didn't always go in this fashion, but let's say that it's a project that he really needs to go out and lay eyes on and walk the project, like it's a really big project with the boom lifts and, that sort of thing, like a high rise building. And I would do my best to build the rapport with that person before he ever even steps foot on the job site. So we used to have this thing where I would joke with him and I'm like, here's the paperwork, here's the estimate form with the scope of work and so forth. And I said, basically just, go take the order because it's already sold, we would laugh about that, because we used to have like a pseudo little contest, like he's going to get the most sales this week. But so a lot of it is just, gathering information, listening. And again, and like you said, just meeting the needs, I know in our market, it's the level of service isn't there. I kind of noticed that across the board in many industries. I don't know, if you all have or not, but for me, it's just like, where's the service these days? I feel like it's almost becoming a dying breed. I feel like, giving that good service and super responsiveness, you're already probably well ahead of the game from your competitors, in my opinion.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, it seems like you have some strategies in your head, which I love, about how to build rapport and how to deliver exceptional service. Can you maybe brain dump a few of those with us and share? Like, you mentioned mirroring, you mentioned active listening. These are good sales strategies that I don't think are necessarily intuitive. I think these are things that need to be taught and coached and practiced and rehearsed and refined. So if you could just do a little bit of a brain dump with our listeners, I think that they'll find some takeaways that they can even be implementing today.
Okay. And
not to put you on the spot, but they're coming out slowly. So I'm just trying to tease them out a little bit. Yeah.
So effective ways to build rapport, is that?
Sure. Or
that,
I'll tell you, but like, what are your favorite ways to connect with a customer? Like, how do you tee it up so that when Ray does go out to the job site, it's guaranteed sold? Like, what is some of the magic that happens in that phone call?
Well, of course, again, being respectful of time, being as, personable, asking those questions. And to me, there are so many ways and components to building a rapport. So let's say that I am out taking Ray out of the equation. Let's say, and this has been so typical, for many years, I'm out making cold calls, for instance, or I have a marketing, appointment with someone, after that appointment, I am going to follow that up with an email. I am going to maybe send some before and after pictures of liked projects that we've done. I'm going to do little touches. I used to do a sales training called Butterfly Marketing, and it was such a funny name back then. I look back, that was quite a few years ago, probably 8 or 9 years ago. But, going in and training and a lot of technicians and project managers, on how to be a butterfly. But it is kind of like a butterfly, just little touches here and there. I'm a huge believer in thank you cards. And I know that seems like probably cavewoman kind of stuff in this day and age, but I like it. I like a handwritten thank you card. It takes literally a minute, handwrite it, put a stamp, get it in the mail, just touches like that build rapport. Also, one of the best ways to build an excellent rapport, as crazy as it sounds and counterintuitive, is on callbacks and complaints. No one likes that. Part of I'm going to do one small segment in Nashville about, are callbacks your friend or are they a foe? Usually we all perceive it as, this is horrible. This is, crashing and burning. This is terrible. I have an enemy, not so much, because I can guarantee you a lot of our accounts and clients that we have the strongest rapport in our biggest accounts, at some point, we probably may have started off with a problem or a negativity or something that needed follow-up. And it's not always a negative. Sometimes it's just something that once it's explained to them, it's really nothing that we have done, or maybe it is something that maybe our guys missed, for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter, because you show your true mannerisms and professionalisms and how you deal with that, with the follow-up, because I'm going to impress you, on that. I'm going to show you that we do stand behind our name. We stand behind our service, and no, we are not 100%, perfect 100% of the time. Few companies are, but I'm going to show you how we're going to react to that, and we're going to make it perfect for you. We appreciate the opportunity, and then I'm going to keep following up, and until my goal is to make you 100% happy with your experience. I want you to be a lifetime client. I'm willing to go that extra mile. I'm going to go that extra mile to make that happen. So
I love that. We use quality driven software in our company, and today's episode is sponsored by quality driven software. And we really care about our quality because we feel like we're selling an experience and we may miss the mark sometimes. And the only way we're going to know if we miss the mark is if we get active feedback from our clients. And I've never had that mindset shift where I think about those callbacks or when we miss the mark, that's actually an opportunity to gain further trust. Because I think that's absolutely true. When we go back out to fix something, our clients are wowed. You know, their expectations are so low that when we actually make it right, they're just completely, you know, they're thrilled. So I love that. Is a callback a friend or a foe? I'm looking forward to your
absolutely.
I'm bringing my admin to the training in Nashville. So a lot of my questions are very selfish because I don't know what I don't know. And I'm not a good trainer in some of these areas. So I think it's really fun that the five of us can come together and really play to our strengths. I was taking notes about building rapport and somebody was also taking notes that are better than mine. So if you are listening to this or you're in the car and you're not able, we took notes of those building rapport that Tonya just shared. I think there's some really good takeaways there to make an immediate impact in your business. And I'm going to pass you to Michelle, who I know is drooling because you're describing a system here. And so she's going to help you kind of tease that out a little bit further. Yeah. What are the systems that you've built in your company? So thank you very much, Tonya. I can't wait to meet you in person next month in Nashville.
I love it. Okay, so a lot of those things that you just covered, both in sales and marketing and finances, even though we were all in our feelings today, were systems. You were thinking and walking people through the ways that you created an experience for your customers, and that's a system. So tell me, when we have a callback, what's the system that your business utilized? Obviously, you send the field folks back out, right? But was there any other additional sort of touches, like you mentioned, from the owner that made that customer feel like that was completely solved at the end? How did that kind of look for your team?
How did it go, like from start to finish?
Yeah, okay, if you don't mind. Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. I'm huge on follow-up. So every project that we ever did, we may have missed a couple, I don't know. But anyway, it was my office manager or myself. I kind of handled more of the commercial, and my office manager would handle, residential. Doesn't matter if it's a $200 project or $15,000 project. It just doesn't matter. Follow up. I would always follow up the day after. No, I would never send an invoice without follow up. And it's so true that you may not hear if someone is unhappy. And then if they are happy, I want to know both. I really want to hear if they're unhappy, if we have an issue, because I want to fix it. I don't want you to walk away from this table with not being completely 100% satisfied and happy with your outcome, because that's what we're here for. Unfortunately, there are, a few cases, some folks, that's harder to achieve, than others, but for the most part. But anyway, on the callback. So we would have a callback the following day, unless we already knew that there was something, maybe if they couldn't do the project due to maybe there were landscapers on site, it's kind of a double booking, then we would obviously call and reschedule that. This is critical. That is where it's so important to have very good, full communication with the crews out in the field. Okay. And I have preached that. And, ask my husband, I can nag the paint off the wall if I need to. And I'm like, we're not an island out there. And Ray used to, even him, my husband, he even says to this day, he's like, I know I'm not an island. I'm like, if something happens and you're not calling me and telling, I will come and hunt you down. Literally. Like, don't let me call you down. But seriously, So getting back to the process. So you call back and make sure that everyone's happy. Thank them. Golly, we appreciate your business so much. Thank you for this opportunity. If they are really happy, I'm going to hit them up for a Google review, if I'm feeling it, unless they're really in a hurry or it doesn't feel like the right time. But, and that's a whole nother thing there. But let's say that we have a callback situation, something that they want us to take a relook at, or a downright complaint. So first, again, listen. I listen completely and thoroughly without interrupting, even if I already know that maybe the husband came home in the middle and kicked us off the property, or, I'm just going to listen. I'm just listening at this point. I'm going to empathize and say, hey, I understand where you're coming from, and I get it. I want them to know I get it and I'm listening. So then we have to move on to the solution process. What is the solution? 9 times out of 10, we need to come back out and pay another visit, to the property. So I'm going to schedule that. That goes right back in the lineup. That's not a good term. It gets very much prioritized. Okay. So they're going to go, that touch up is going right back in the system, just like we were scheduling for the first time, except for a higher, priority, because we got to get right back out there, and take care of it. And then after it's taken care of, then I'm going to follow up and do that same follow-up call again, like we did the day after the cleaning, right? Hi, everything went great, with your touch up. And we do see where, that one area needed to be retreated, and hopefully everything's beautiful for you now. Please let me know if you have any questions, any concerns. We want you to be very happy. We appreciate your business, right? So hopefully by then, we're to the point where, everything's beautiful. Thank you for getting right on it. Thank you for coming back out so quickly. Well, yes, that's what we're here for. We appreciate you. So, and just kind of going through that process, kind of getting to the finish line. So,
not to get in the weeds, but this is just a question I've always had. Is it standard for you to send back the same team that didn't complete the job correctly the first time, or do you send a different person to have fresh eyes on the project? What's kind of your process internally?
Typically the same, really? Ideally, because they're already familiar with the property, and they were just there. Now, if it's something where maybe there's some particular staining, for instance, just pulling this as an example, a special type of staining that maybe requires some extra expertise, if you will, or maybe some type of acid process. Typically, what we would do at our company is Ray would want to go back and look at that personally, And, I would let them know that, we're going to have Ray come out, and, this is a special process, and we're going to try another method to see if this will take care of the problem. And then I'm going to report back to you. So if it doesn't take care of the problem, well, hey, we'll pull out every tool in the toolbox. But, sometimes it's kind of like getting oil stains up out of concrete. But a lot of that too is setting the customer expectation. If we have a lot of staining, or just like on a roof, if it's really, really dirty, we might be looking at a couple of process of, cleanings, and we have to have some rainfall on the roof. Or if it's the staining on concrete, it's not going to come completely up. But however, here's what we are going to do to give the best results possible. We're going to put down professional grade degreasers. We're going to follow it up with a commercial grade hot wash process. We will do everything known to man to get the most optimal results for you. However, I want you to know, at the end of the day, at best, it's probably only going to lighten the staining, right? So we've kind of set that level of expectation. And just like the roof,
Sure.
Yeah.
And Ray actually piped in while you were talking, and he said sometimes it's not a real issue at all, right? And something that just needs to be explained to the customer more clearly. Right. More communication, again, is what I keep hearing over and over, is more communication. So this is a perfect time to hand you over to Martha, and she's going to talk about people, and people are the way that all of this works. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Tonya.
Yeah, we had a saying in our office that if you tell them about, like, basically what you can't do or what won't be done prior to the appointment, that's education. If you tell them after the fact and they're when they're complaining, then that is just an excuse.
That's right.
And that's absolutely the way that the customer hears that, even if you forgot, oh, I forgot to mention this. And it's truly part of your process that you don't touch certain items or whatever. That just sounds like an excuse. So, yeah.
That's right. For sure. Oh, I was just going to interject something real quick. It's funny how this works and how it can kind of snowball, if you will, because let's say that we're cleaning a full exterior and roof cleaning. And let's say that the roof was very, very thick with the Gliocaps the algae. And we didn't do our due diligence in the office and following up with the estimate process and scheduling to explain, now, here's the way this is going to go on the roof cleaning. It's a completely different process from cleaning the exterior of your home. We cannot pressure the algae and bacteria off of the roof. We clean according to the shingle manufacturer's specifications. It's very much a soft wash process, and those dead cells can take time to slough off. We may need a couple of rains in order for that process. It's more of a process. Sometimes it's not an immediate gratification. Like if we clean the exterior of your home, it's going to be perfect when we leave, when we're finished. And roof cleaning can be more of a process. So just kind of giving them enough to know. And so what will probably happen, Mr. Homeowners, when you get home, your roof, you may still notice some streaking and some discoloration. There may be a hazy look to it. Completely normal, completely normal. And we need to have a couple of good rains and just kind of explaining that process, because, and I'll get back to my point. If they come, so say we didn't do that and they come home and they see the roof, right? And they're immediately can kind of get on the warpath at that point. Well, what else didn't get clean? Now they're walking around looking at this and that, and really with a magnifying glass trying to find, what else we missed, or it can kind of tend to snowball, from there, if you will, so.
Right. And so in the cleaning world, our thing was, if the client's home was pretty dirty and hadn't had a good cleaning in a while, then you just couldn't avoid it. The dust that you would stir up in cleaning the home would leave a layer of dust, even though you dusted. And so we would really have to educate the client, because, they have this home that they haven't cleaned well in a year plus, and they're expecting immaculate. And then, we really had to educate them on, it's a process. And so anyway, those are all learning lessons, right? That you're like, oh yeah, we should have explained that. And, the same goes for your employees. I really believe in education and communication, because so many times our employees also get mad about something, and it's just the way you have to do things, and it's just part of your process, but they weren't involved.
Right.
I would love to hear. So it sounds like, it was definitely a team effort, and I would love to hear, like, when you had those service issues and you had to return, how did you get people? Because I'm sure you had some employees that you really had to get on board with, okay, this isn't just a client being nitpicky and being hard to deal with. This is what we do. Service is what we do. So explain some of that process, how you'd get them on board.
Work ethic, to me, they can have all the training. Training is so critical and crucial. We all know this. It's extremely important. It's hard to instill pride of work and work ethic, in my opinion. But we can try that, basically just sitting down with the employee and, explaining the situation, asking some questions, what happened. And it is important to have processes, in place there for who is in charge of what. If we have a project manager and a technician, who does what? From the minute you pull up for the project, right? Who is doing what? So one person needs to, in our industry anyway, so one person needs to be walking around looking for any pre-existing damage to document that. And so take pictures with cell phone, that sort of thing. Maybe the technician at that point is unrolling hoses, and then who's in charge of taping outlets and taping any electrical components. Maybe there's a beautiful wooden door that needs to be masked off. Who is in charge of what? So you can eliminate a lot of ambiguity and confusion if everyone has a very clear structure of what their duties are, and then upon completion of all the way through the project, if he's spraying, what am I supposed to be doing, and so forth. So just having a very clear job description, if you will, and list of duties. And then most importantly also, or equally as important, who is in charge of going and reviewing all the work on the property before leaving, and signing that project off as completed, So really kind of walking through those processes. And, oftentimes I think that it's a situation where maybe that last part was missed, with the really looking at the property, because how many times do we look at something? I know I'm really bad about this. Are we looking to really look and see, or are we just kind of walking the house because it's a motion that we need to complete? Really get in there and take a deep, long, hard look. And so maybe just going back and reiterating that and trying to, I think we all get busy and we want to do a great job. We have a lot of work. Hopefully we're very blessed to be so busy, but also slowing down and really taking notice of what the end result was. Would you be happy with this if it were your home or your business?
Yeah.
Kind of just reiterating that and just keeping it fresh. It's easy to kind of, to me, get off target, on things, and just kind of coming back to those basics.
Right. Yeah. We did something sneaky that probably most people wouldn't do, but in training, because you mentioned it has to be, basically the person has to be willing to have pride in their work and care. And if you don't have those elements, you're not going to get it. So we did some kind of trick training where we would try and trigger them. We purposely would try to trigger them to see if, basically would have them correct things multiple times that weren't wrong. But we'd say they're wrong and that you needed to redo it. And so what we were looking for was the person puzzled and going, okay, I don't get it, but okay. Or if you could trigger an attitude where they start kind of there's nothing wrong with that, blah, 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 blah. And I always said, in the first few days, if they show you that, just take 6 months and, who knows what they'll do. So,
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to toss you back to Tay, and she's going to start us off with some homework.
Awesome. Hopefully everyone was taking notes during that. I know I was. Brought out my notepad and paper for a couple notes jotted down. But if you don't have a notebook or piece of paper or your notes open in your phone, I recommend doing that at this time, because we are going to talk about homework. If you are new to the show and this is your first time listening, we do assign homework each week. So we do only ask that you choose one piece of homework because we're going to throw 5 pieces at you. Most of today is going to be centered around sales. We talked a lot about sales and the different processes involved in that. So you can just choose one point in your sales process that each of us give homework on to be able to really focus on this week, and then maybe move to the next one next week if sales is really your pain point. We do have an accountability group that you can join. You can ask us questions. You can be able to pick our brains on something if you're stuck on the homework. That will be, we'll drop that in the comments if you aren't already a part of it. And then just please pick one. That's just my biggest thing I can remind you of. So marketing wise, we talked a lot about feelings and the customer's why. So this week, I want you to really be intentional about listening, actively listening, as Tonya said, and choosing to listen to your customers' why, not to listen to speak. I think that's a really big problem with business owners. We listen to speak. We don't listen to understand sometimes. So if we're listening to understand our clients' why, we'll be able to serve them better as a business owner and as a business. So that's going to be your marketing homework for this week.
Note taker, sorry, I'm coming. Okay, for finance homework, I want you to think about how you could impact the sale as the person on the phone. So maybe that means taking a few calls. I talk to owners all the time and they're like, I haven't answered the phone in 12 years. And I'm like, well, maybe it would be a good time to just answer a call or two and kind of see what's going on the phone. And I want you to think about from that first impression of answering with a smile and your greeting to how you mirror. I love how Tonya said, how you mirror what the customer's saying, how you mirror the rate of your speech, how you mirror how quickly you're going to get off the phone or get through the sale, right? How you mirror your mannerisms, like the expressions that you use. I want you to think through all of these opportunities while you're on that one call to really connect, empathize, and relate to the customer to make that sale easier. I also want you to start thinking about what are the questions that need to happen on that call. I've found that asking good questions that are on a script for our CSRs is really helpful. Mrs. Jones, when was the last time you had your windows cleaned? Mrs. Jones, when's the last time you had your gutters cleaned? Mrs. Jones, how's your roof looking? Mrs. Jones, do you think the solar panels need us to take a look at it? Really thinking through what are some questions that you can integrate into that call every time, and having a list of questions that you can then set your CSR up for success with. So I guess your finance homework has nothing to do with finance except sales is how we bring in all the money, right? And I want you to take a call. I want you to think about the questions that you do. And I want you to think about that customer experience on the phone. What are things that you do naturally that then we want to train your admin to do when they're answering the phone? So that is your finance homework this week.
Good stuff. And your systems homework is really cool because it just came to me while we were listening and talking to each other. And I want you to lay out, what is the system for your follow-ups? What does that look like? Do you have it organized in a fashion or documented for your company? What happens when that complaint call comes in? What kicks off the series of responses after the field, folks go back out? What do you do as the owner? What does your CSR do? What does your office manager do? What happens? Like, how does that customer feel like they were heard and listened to? And what does that system sort of look like? And can you just make a little bullet point list on what your expectations are? I think you might find a few holes there or a few opportunities to be able to touch your customer one more time and really solidify that relationship, even in the face of a complaint. So I'm going to ask you to write that down this week. That's your homework for systems.
Okay. And people homework, it can go towards a client and or an employee. But I want you to think about the things that people are commonly upset about. So I mentioned about on a deep clean, we stir up lots of dust, and we would get complaints from people because that dust settles. It's not like we have a air vac pulling it all in. So we learned that we had to educate them ahead of time. Our paychecks were an issue with the employees, like especially when we paid commission, they didn't understand, and they felt cheated on their pay. And so we knew that we had to really sit down and explain that to them. And we did a lot of education ahead of time so that, you know, when you have a disgruntled employee, typically those employees don't come to you the first time they're upset with you. They come to you when they really don't want to take it anymore. And that's kind of too late. So think about those pieces that you need to do some proactive education on.
Awesome. Tonya, do you have any homework you'd like to give?
Yeah. And getting back, and I love that, Martha, because you're exactly spot on with that, and oftentimes, there are folks out there that you will not know if they're unhappy. Next thing you know, you have a Google review, It's like, wow, if I would have just been more in contact and been on that and been in the queue on that, I could have resolved that, and that would have been a positive Google review,
Right.
So I think the homework, I would like to see contact a couple of previous clients and maybe shoot for 3 positive Google reviews, or maybe not 3, 1, start with 1. But, so oftentimes people, they want to help small businesses, or, any business. Doesn't have to be a real small business, but you can ask them for, you let them know, hey, if you're a Google review kind of person, it really helps us a lot. And they're very powerful, with your SEO and capturing that business. Everything is so internet driven. So I would like to see maybe get some Google reviews up, kind of solicit those a little bit.
I love that. So thank you so much, Tonya. Let's talk really quickly while all of us are together about our event in Nashville. It is March 10th and 11th, Thursday and Friday, in Nashville at Opryland in some fabulous hotels. So we're going to lay out the website here in the comments, but everyone on the screen here is going to be teaching some sessions, and we're going to be doing a lot. So sending your admin to cut out the chaos of their job and set them up with some incredibly cool strategies to be able to perform better for your business is really the goal for us. We are so thrilled to see those seats being filled. We've got an incredible lineup of speakers. Like I said, all the folks here on the screen are going to bring every bit of value that they absolutely can to this event. I just ordered swag yesterday, and I got to tell you guys, the swag game is strong. So all of you admins out there that might be listening, tell the owner of your business, tell your ops person, tell somebody that you want to come to this thing, because we're going to be giving away incredible systems, incredible understanding of finance, marketing, sales, and people, and you get some pretty cool swag. So it's going to be really, really fun. I'm excited.
And I feel like I just want to address for a second. I've been hearing from some owners that they're nervous about sending their admin. Like, it's a really big investment, and they're not sure if that admin's going to be around for a long time or if they're the perfect fit. And there's some hesitation there. It's so easy for us to invest in ourselves as owners. Like, I feel like that's how we all have gotten to know each other. I feel like that's the natural thing to do. We pay money, we go to a conference, we learn a lot, we take it back, we execute it. And it doesn't seem to feel natural to invest in our admin staff, even though they're probably one of the most essential positions in our company, right? They're the ones that help make everything else flow. So I've been talking to a couple of owners who have been on the fence about this. And I've said, one of the cool things about this training is the admin is going to be executing and implementing systems for your business while at the conference. These are things that they're going to be doing while they're learning, and they're going to come home with. Like, when they get back on that plane, these systems are going to be built out and done for your company. And I feel like there's so much value to me as an owner to have those systems customized for my company. And I don't have time to do it. I don't really have the experience or expertise of being on the phone all day, every day to do it. So to me, if you're hesitating because you're like, I don't know if my admin's the right person, what if this training could elevate them to become the right person? That's step one. Would that be amazing? And step two is, what if this training could help them build out a system that could really elevate the next person that comes behind them? So I wanted to say that publicly because I've been hearing a lot of this hesitation from owners. I know it's expensive. I know it doesn't feel super great to invest in an admin staff, but I'm going to challenge you because the investment will pay off. It absolutely will.
100% it will.
Yes.
100% it will.
Libby
Okay.
hired a traction coach for her office staff, and it was the best investment she'd ever made. Very worth it. So thanks, Libby, for sharing.
So good. So good. Okay, Tonya, we always end with a quote, and this one kind of was wandering through this episode today, and I really liked it, and it is by Nat Turner. And they said that good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. So get clear out there, people. Keep using good communication, and I think that that'll really help your business soar this year. So, and thank you, Tonya, for joining us on the Fight Club. This was super fun, and everybody have an awesome day out there. We really appreciate you tuning in every time, and hopefully join the group, and we'll have a great day. Bye, everybody.